So I'm able to say, this is not my voice. I'm a grown up today. I can make my choice.
Yeah, and that takes that takes awareness. We have to actually say
exactly.
that. We have to say that because if you actually don't cultivate the awareness, you're not even going to catch the voice. You'll find yourself like
buzzing
at the point where you've already spiraled. I'm doing all of these things in order for me to be recognized, acknowledged. I'm just going out of my way to do all of these things. And then at the end of the day, you resent the person who you're doing it for not
Absolutely.
recognizing you're doing.
Because you don't have your boundary.
Right.
Hello, beautiful soul. Welcome to the Art of Being podcast, a secret space where we dive into spirituality, healing, manifestation, and all the magic of becoming. We explore the depth of the human experience, the pain, the triggers, the healing, the expansion, the joy, and what it means to move through life with awareness and intention. I am Bamzi, a mindset and manifestation coach. I'm so glad that you're here. Take a deep breath, settle in, and let's journey together.
Welcome back to the Art of Being Beautiful Soul. I'm your host, Bamzi. In the studio with me is Kinneri, who's a hypnotherapist and a regressional therapist. And she's been here before, so this is not her first rodeo on this podcast. She's here to talk about something exciting that we are collaborating on. Before we get onto that, I wanted to remind you to subscribe and rate our podcast if you haven't, because it really, really does help our community grow and reach more beautiful souls like yourself. Now, back to the conversation with Kinneri. Welcome to the Art of Being, Kinneri.
Thank you, Bamzi.
It's so lovely.
It's so nice to come back.
Yeah. So if you are coming across Kinneri for the first time, because I know there's some of you that are watching or listening for the first time. Kinneri, like I said, is a hypnotherapist and regressional therapist. And I'm going to read her bio so that you know what she does. She does a lot of things. So Kinneri is an integrated hypnotherapist, regressional therapist, NLP life coach, trainer, practitioner of metaphysical anatomy, counselor, and Reiki master. Wow.
Thank you.
You do a lot.
That's part of the whole journey, actually.
Yeah.
From where a person starts and what heals within them is the profoundness.
Yeah. So if somebody is hearing, because I know there's somebody who's like, this is their first time that they're hearing the word hypnotherapy, regressional therapy, can you just in a little bit tell us like what that is and what does that even do for a person if they're like just curious and wondering, what is this even?
I know people get a bit scared of hypnotherapy because, again, the hypno comes in. But hypnotherapy is therapy that uses a technique of hypnosis to access the subconscious mind, because most of our root causes in life lie in our subconscious mind, which people are aware of now. So imagine that there is so many things that we go through life and we do feel like, why isn't this healing? Or why am I not getting out of it? Or our behaviors or habits or our belief systems, like we keep on going and going, but it hurts us emotionally. And we don't know how to stop it. We don't know how to get out of it. So this is where hypnotherapy comes in. Through a guided relaxation, which is hypnosis, we access the subconscious mind by bypassing the filter of the conscious mind, because conscious mind is, I want to control everything. This is where I am. This is just me, But beyond that, we know things, there are programs that are happening which are controlling our life, and that's the subconscious.
Right.
So when we bypass the conscious mind and that filter of judgment, we're able to access that deeper part of us.
Yeah.
And when we do, we go back to where it all started for us. Where did our emotional stress start? Where did we start creating certain belief systems, and how these belief systems are shaping our life today, our behavior, our patterns, our life. And maybe they're sabotaging us today.
Yeah.
So that's where hypnotherapy comes in.
Yeah.
That we can help heal. And it's not just about the surface healing, it is about deep healing.
Deep healing,
Yeah.
because deep healing happens in the subconscious. And if you did not know, the subconscious is 95% or 90?
It is 90% of who we are.
Of the like
Yeah.
the conscious mind, when you're making decisions and you think like, I'm making it from this conscious mind, I'm aware. We only use what? It's 10%.
We only use 10% of
10%.
our mind.
Yeah.
And the 90% is the more powerful one, and it's literally controlling.
Mm-hmm.
And the interesting part is the subconscious is not here to give us stories or anything. It wants to keep us alive. And keeping us alive means we will do everything to keep ourselves alive.
Absolutely.
Which means even if we have to create a coping strategy to keep us alive, the subconscious will do it.
Absolutely.
And then with repetition, it becomes
Absolutely.
a lifestyle.
Which is like what we're here to talk about today,
Yeah.
right? You know, the things that we need to do to keep surviving and keep ourselves alive. And especially we were thinking of, I mentioned earlier that we are collaborating on this exciting thing. It's an event that we're collaborating on, where this is the type of conversation we're going to have, right? Like the things that you're doing to survive, the things that you're doing to keep yourself alive, you know, you're high functioning, you're high performing, but that is detrimental to your well-being. And sometimes you're not aware, like, you know, how can I even shift from, and especially we're thinking about women, right, who are high functioning, who are high performing, but then they're not in touch with that inner part of themselves.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So that's what we're here to collaborate on. Yeah.
I mean, before I even went into this healing journey and realized who actually I am as a feminine me, I was that person who was just going on and on and on and on, forgetting me, which is abandoning me completely. I was not even in the picture. I was just doing.
Okay.
And that left me tired, depleted. I was almost going into depression. And that's where it just literally struck me that this is not how I want to be.
Yeah. Was it a straightforward for you? Like straightforward of like, okay, like what's missing? Because I understand before you got into hypnotherapy and you got to doing this work, you were in HR. So you were in the traditional corporate, whatever. That's when you were doing and, you know, performing whatever roles you needed to perform. You know, other than work, you are a wife, you are a daughter, you are all these things.
I've just done everything.
Yes.
Which is a lot of what women do.
Right.
Literally, it almost feels like I took everything on my shoulders. And it wasn't mine, but I carried it because there is conditioning. I was brought up that way.
Yeah.
And where this conditioning comes from, that, you know, we are made to do a lot. We are made to believe who we are.
Yes.
But truly, we are not who we are made to believe.
It's an illusion.
It's an illusion.
Yes.
We are so much more. I mean, in this journey, of course, it didn't come easily.
It wasn't
but
straightforward for you
straightforward.
to get to where you are now.
But there was one thing that happened in hypnotherapy. This is something we do, what we call identifying the void in our life. And when we went into identifying the void, clearly I had so many voids that I was filling. And when I actually understood that void was what I did not address or what I was missing in my life, because I was covering it with outer responsibilities, but never being in touch with me. And this is so many of us women. After that, of course, I've been helping so many women. And when we go back to that, we realize that void is you being in touch with you. You're missing that very link.
Right. And because I can relate to that, I was also trying to fill a void as well. And my void, the way that it showed up was, you know, this thing that you take on thinking that it's who you are. You take on like a really strong identity and you fully go into the world believing that this is who I am and this is what I do. But so mine was coming from like a wounded place as well, where I'm like, I have to go, this is my path, this is what I have to go for, this is what I need to do in the world. But it was coming from a wounded place in the sense that there's a deeper part of me that believed if I get to this point, and in fact, mine was like, I was in the international sector, and I always thought like, oh, if I'm going to be this person in the international world who's like either like a journalist or like a diplomat or like this person that like is making change in the world, then there's a deeper part of me that believed when I get there, then I would be recognized, I would be accepted, I would feel worthy, I would feel love. So it was coming from that wounded place of like, this external thing, this external recognition, whatever I'm creating in the world is what's going to give me all the love and worthiness and acceptance, not realizing that is actually an inside job, not an outside job.
It's absolutely.
Yeah.
And as you say that, imagine how much you've given, but not received the same. So there's complete imbalance. That's where so many of us women are.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just imagine that you're growing up in a household where that conditioning, and it's not today's conditioning and today's pattern. This could be evolution, generational, ancestral, that I'm born as a girl. Like literally it's in our cell memory or DNA that I'm a girl. And a girl needs to prove her worth. Otherwise, a girl is not accepted.
Right.
And so how much do we have to do in order to bring that sense of belonging or sense of worthiness or sense of space in our lives or lives outside? And so that becomes our behavior completely.
Right.
We forget that we don't need that worthiness. We are already worthy. But that differentiation was starting in our homes.
Yeah.
And many times I've even seen, like in my healing and even for my life, I'm a girl, but when I see how boys are treated, boys have preference, and this is so cultural. So I think just our systems, our conditioning, the boys are given the preference that boys are better than girls. Now that wound is already there.
That wound is already there because it's like I have to do something because I also want to be seen and recognized. So I need to do something in order to show my parents that I'm also worthy, or to show like the society that prefers boys that I'm also worthy. But there's something that you have to do in order to receive that.
And imagine how much abandonment you're going to do, because when you don't feel worthy, you already abandoned yourself. And then I have to prove myself. And then I have to do so much. And then I have to take responsibility. And then I have to be the good girl so that they see me. Like literally, those are layers and layers of coping strategies, that were survival strategies that we call. That I have, for me to be seen, I have to do so much. We grow up.
Right.
And this is where it depletes us, because when we're growing up, we're not the young children anymore. How much are we going to do? And it leaves us tired, depleted, exhausted. And then we ask ourselves, where am I in all this? What happened? Because we will never get what we're trying to give.
Yeah. I think what I find dangerous, the word that I want to use, what I find sad is the fact that in what you're talking about, how like we take on this identities, we put on this mask. When you're not authentic you're not honoring what is like true to you, because you need to prove yourself, then it means that you're wearing a mask, right?
Absolutely.
In order for you to be able to survive and to be able to not die. Because the subconscious literally thinks that this is, if I don't do this, I'm going to die. Like if I'm not accepted and loved, and if I don't feel safe, like I'm going to die, right?
My life is over.
So what I find sad is, when you're not conscious that this is happening, and we talked about the subconscious earlier. When you're not conscious that this is happening, you fully believe that this is you. So you go with it. And I find that sad, because then you would go your whole life, just operating from this, and not knowing that you could literally change. You could shift and start operating and start living from, alignment.
Imagine, Bamzi, that we were given that preference or that opportunity to be loved as we are, the feminine. Imagine that our parents appreciated us as we are. There are many parents who do that now, but maybe in our times it was different, like there was ignorance and unawareness. And so we are all in some way wounded in that way. But imagine our parents honored us as the women we are, as the girls we are, as the girl child. How would we have grown up honoring ourselves, being in touch with ourselves, with our worthiness and who we have come to be here in this world or what we have come to live out? It would be a very different story. Then we wouldn't have had to abandon ourselves and take on roles that are not ours. So one thing I also realize is when we're trying to be high achievers or successful, there's nothing wrong in that.
There's nothing wrong in that.
But we are abandoning ourselves in order to do that because we are almost competing rather than being our own worthiness, that I am worthy of this.
Because I exist.
Yeah, and because it matters. We are giving something to the world that matters. But what we're doing is really pushing ourselves against a lot of other conditioning, which means we are stepping into masculine energy more than feminine energy.
Oh, I'm so guilty of that. And I was telling you earlier that it's definitely one of my biggest wound is just operating from the masculine. But as a child, I learned that I needed to take on that role because there's no one else out there for me to do this for me. So I need to do that for myself.
So you become stronger.
You become stronger, because it's like I need to do this. Hyper independence is one of the things that, we talk about, right?
Yeah.
Because who else is gonna your survival again is relying on that.
So you abandon your femininity to become that stronger masculine person that I have to fight the world. Now what happens? We are mind, body, and soul. We are literally thought, emotion, energy, and then everything impacts our body. So when we start thinking this way, that we have to survive in this world, we have to be independent, we have to be strong, we have to fight, that femininity, that softness, that intuitiveness goes. We are anyway strong. It's not that we are not strong. We are actually stronger than we think we are. Do you think men can give birth?
No. They can't even experience period pain.
Exactly.
Have you seen those? I don't know. There's some videos where women are like using this like tools to stimulate cramps.
Yeah.
And so they put men and they strap them, and then they use the tools to like. This is how it feels when a woman is like bleeding and experiencing period pain. They can't take it, and whatever they're experiencing is nothing even compared to like what we actually experience.
Can you imagine how much we endure? Giving birth. Not even just menstrual pain. Giving birth. It's excruciatingly painful. Like I was one of my colleagues, or like when we were learning hypnotherapy, one of the colleagues said, nobody knows how it is. Like it's like your bones are breaking. Can anybody endure that?
People die doing that.
Yeah, so
right? Yeah.
Can you imagine the inner strength we have, but we don't recognize it, and yet we're fighting against it more than believing in it, more than accepting it, and more than kind of living it. So we're running away from our feminine energy and the strength we have because we have been made to believe we are weaker.
Yeah.
And that doesn't come today. It is generations we've been made to believe women are weaker. And now when we are coming into this feminine liberation and we're trying to prove ourselves, and we're trying to show ourselves that we're better, like we're no less. We're trying to be physically stronger, externally stronger, yet we're not believing in the strength we have.
Yeah. Yeah.
If we can endure so much, what can we not do?
Yeah.
And that's where I come in, that when we deny ourselves that, when we are not masculine in terms of physical strength, we are feminine and stronger in terms of our own energy.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
the qualities that we have are completely feminine.
Absolutely.
We are women who are mothers, And a mother's sense is attuned to another height when she's raising her child. We are attuned, which means we are intuitive. We are nurturing, but we stop nurturing ourselves.
Yeah.
We are sensitive, and we put all that aside. We are compassionate because when we raise a child, we have to be loving and compassionate. We put all that aside and take on masculine energy, like I want to be strong, independent. I don't want to look into my emotions. Women are emotional.
Yeah, absolutely. It just makes me think of, and actually one of the reasons why we are having this event and this
Yeah.
collaboration is because oftentimes when we see the events, some of the events that are organized to like empower women, right? It's to empower women to do better, to be even, of course, like more achieving, to be stronger, right? So the reason why we were thinking of this is like we want to change the conversation about empowerment, and instead of focusing on like those things that you have to do in the external world in order to prove that you are an empowered woman, we want to shift the conversation and make it, how can you empower yourself? How can you empower that deep relationship with yourself? Like how can you become empowered through that when you're rooted in that relationship with yourself, where you know yourself so well, you understand yourself so well, you are there for your emotion, you hold space for yourself, right? You have boundaries, you don't people please, because in the attempt to people please, you abandon yourself. So when you're rooted in
Completely.
yourself, you are able to navigate the world with authenticity. So we want to shift the conversation into like, how can we empower you to start
Absolutely.
operating from that?
And stop abandoning to connect with yourself. The way we'll empower is to come back to us, to connect to ourselves. If we do not connect to ourselves, then it's not possible. And connecting to ourselves is connecting to our emotions,
Yes.
connecting to how we feel within. Because it's so easy for us to run away and say, no, no, I can't deal with this. But it's literally sitting with it, flowing through your emotions, connecting to this happened. But I
Right.
don't need to abandon myself because of that.
Yeah.
I don't need to run away from myself because of that.
Yeah.
So it's really coming in touch with that. Yes, I feel it, and there is nothing wrong. And the moment I've noticed, the moment we feel something, the moment we sit with our emotions, it doesn't have the control that we think it has. The moment we run away, then it will control us.
Absolutely, because now that then goes to like what is the hidden cost? What is the cost of not being there for yourself? What is the cost of like not being there for your emotions, holding space for that? Other than like let's talk control.
Yeah.
First of all, like control, and how like the emotions control you when you least expect it, because it comes when you least expect it. The external reflects something, and then you react.
Absolutely.
You react in a way that you later are questioning yourself, like, oh my God, what was that? Who was that person? Like, this angry beast came out that I had no idea that was within me. So yeah, let's talk about, the cost of like not actually reconnecting with yourself.
The price we pay at the end is illnesses.
Illnesses, yes, yes.
Because when we don't address anything in life, we don't get in touch with ourselves, we'll find ourselves sick. That's the price we pay for abandoning our emotions, abandoning ourselves through that, running away and reacting. So imagine you said, if I had an anger outburst, and then I'm like, what the hell? Immediately guilt will set in, like I shouldn't
I'm
have
a
done
bad
this.
person.
Yeah.
I'm a bad person.
And imagine
yeah.
now you have to cover that up. How many things will you do to cover up that guilt? And
Yeah.
that cycle keeps going on and on and on and on, and it's never ending until we realize what we are doing. That goes back to how we are brought up. A lot of our conditioning. I say these days, our conditioning is our hypnosis, because we are so hypnotized
We are
into
hypnotized.
believing certain things, yet these are perceptions. They are not the real truths. But as a child, if I witnessed something, if I experienced something, if I felt something, I didn't know how to handle it. All I was doing was surviving. If today women who are parents, women who have children, if we realize that how we are raising our children, if we do that with awareness, that is empowerment. We are raising children with awareness. Doesn't mean we will not feel emotions. Doesn't mean we are not going to react. But it's not running away. It's not abandoning that. It's getting in touch with that it happened. I'm right here. And I'm going to now change this. But what happens is because the subconscious is like a duplicating machine, it's going to just repeat our reactions. So one of the ways we can do it is through talks like this, through awareness, or through therapy, or through gatherings that we are trying to also bring together so that we help in allowing you to get in touch with you. That deep-seated part of you. You have not, you've abandoned yourself, but that part of you has never gone anywhere. She's just hiding. So bring that resource out that you are there, you are loved, you matter, you exist, you're worthy. Bringing that resource out. And that is such a beautiful feeling because I myself have gone through that.
Yeah. So I wanted us to actually talk about like how, because we've talked about abandonment and like not being connected to who you truly are. And we gave a few examples from like our own lives earlier. And I can think of like people, and this is not just like a unique experience, right? This is something that I know that exists. This is what people go through. Like in high school, you have to change who you are in order to fit into like a clique, right? And you fully start identifying with that is who I am, right? That is not who you are. You've abandoned yourself. Or like even like the example of like a woman who's, you know, is playing like a lot of roles. Like she's a mom, you're a mother, you are a sister, you are a wife, and then you are at work. So you have all these roles that you're playing, but sometimes you find yourself so fully identified with this, just your identity is based on this thing that you do, the role that you play, not understanding that your identity is actually just an internal job. Like who you are is just like an internal thing. And all of these things that you're doing they're just roles that you're playing in this world. So all that to say that abandonment. So I wanted us to talk about how abandonment looks like, right? Because we've alluded it so much, but I wanted us to actually give examples of like, because somebody might be listening and maybe they've abandoned themselves, but they don't know that if we're talking about them, right? Sometimes people don't know that they're actually abandoning themselves. And I know that some of the things that are talked about these days, like people pleasing is like a huge one that I feel like a lot of people know about. But there's subtle ways that people abandon themselves, that they're not even aware that they're abandoning themselves.
Think about the good girl syndrome.
The good girl syndrome, right?
How many women or how many of us feel that we have to be good girls? Our upbringing was not wrong or right or anything. It was what it was. But sometimes, say, our fathers are very protective of girls. Like, you shouldn't go out or you'll get hurt. Or you are supposed to be in a certain way to make others happy. You can't do certain things because you're a girl. You know, those conditionings are put. I'll give you an example. Somebody came to me and this was quite interesting how she was very mentally sort of challenged in a way, like she was not in touch with herself. And what happened is, father was very authoritarian, like she could not move something without his permission. And it had to be the way he wanted it. So imagine the fear that this girl has in her. And one of the incidents that she came across was there were visitors in the house and she was supposed to carry. She was just a little girl of about 11, 12 years old. She knows how to carry a whole tray of tea to serve. But it so happened that she didn't, a spoon fell from the tray. Like, you know, when you're serving and a spoon falls. The father didn't say anything at that time. He just looked at her. Imagine what she felt in that moment. Like, she couldn't even bear his look. It's almost like she knew something's coming afterwards. Hiding herself. Do you think she will ever forget this incident? The survival or the coping strategy from there is, I can never make a mistake. Do not make a mistake. I have to be the good girl. I have to do everything right. How much energy goes in it? She doesn't even know herself. Already, she's gone. She grew up believing that I have to be perfect in everything. Perfect is exhaustion.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then she's layering it with masks. She doesn't even know herself. All she knows is she has to be perfect to a point where there's OCD.
Yes. Yes.
One of the signs of self-abandonment means I'm not safe enough to be me.
Yeah. Because perfect means that, like, if I get it perfect, then
My
I'll
father
be
will not punish me.
accepted, you know, I'll be loved and I'll be safe.
And my father will not punish me.
Yeah.
Because that child is in the father's home. The father is strict. The mother can't speak. The mother, again, is an example, a role model of how the girl will pick up. Similarly, if, say, a child has seen parents quarreling, and there are many times it happens that their parents have arguments, a quarrel, sometimes physical violence or verbal violence, and the child is watching. Parents are not aware that we should not fight in front of children, but it happens. And the child is watching. Where is the child's space in the parent's life? Where parents are only with themselves in their own mess and their own problems, forgetting the child. How will the child survive? Again, coping strategies like I'll have to be the good girl or I'll have to behave well so that they don't fight.
Yeah.
She has already abandoned herself because she's becoming something who she's not.
With something she's not. You know, it just makes me
Yeah.
think sometimes, like, maybe the easiest way to know if you're abandoning yourself is, you know, like, what are the voices in your head, for example? So for me, like, that's actually how I've been able to figure out, like, you talked about perfectionism all the time. You have this voice that tells you that you need to be perfect, because if you are perfect, like we said, even if it's at work, you deliver like a perfect product, you know, then of course you're going to be like, be praised for it. Like, oh, you did so well. Then like, that's what's giving you the sense of love and acceptance and whatever, not realizing that, you know, like those things, like I said earlier, they're not coming from an external thing. Like that is like, you're abandoning what is here to get out.
Abandoning what is authentically yours, innately yours. What are you abandoning? It was already there. You are already a child, a divine child.
Yeah.
You already have the qualities in you. But they were not supported.
Yeah.
We were not raised in support of that. Imagine if parents said, we love you as you are. Then where would the coping strategies come from?
We love you because you are, you know, like, because you're just, you are, you know, like,
but
that
we
would
don't
be
hear
so,
that.
Yeah.
So we abandon ourselves in so many ways. We forget who we innately are. We don't have to control. We don't have to do anything as survival. We don't have to let emotional stress get to us. The moment all this happens, we are already abandoning that innate qualities in us. We are already peaceful. We are already loving.
Yeah.
We are already worthy, whoever we are.
Yeah.
We are already, like, we already belong. We are accepted, but we stop doing that to ourselves. And that is the story of a lot of many of us.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Or like, you know, those harsh voices, like the critic.
The inner critic,
Mine
the inner
was,
judge. Yeah.
I used to have this like inner critic, very loud, and it still comes from time to time. Like I still have the inner critic, but now I've built a different relationship with my inner critic, right? So now I don't fully identify that this is my voice, because before it used to be like it's my voice that's criticizing me, because if I get criticized, then I'll do better, and if I do better, then the inner critic is there to serve you in a way, right? So for me, it's like if you do better, I need you to do better. Because if you do better, then that's what's going to give you the safety. And it's like, it's not me, adult me, who's unsafe. It's my inner child that's feeling unsafe. So if my inner critic pushes me, like the inner critic is sort of there to protect the inner child, right? So if I do, as the adult, do better, then the inner child is going to feel safe. So when I realized that that's what it was doing, then I had to build a different relationship with my inner critic, understanding that it's just a part of me that's trying to protect me, right? But by protecting me and pushing me to do better, in a way, then I abandon myself, because it's like I'm doing things that the critic is telling me, like you shouldn't have done that, or you should do this or whatever. It's coming from that place rather than like, oh, genuinely, I'm doing this because it's coming from like a wholeness place, right? So in a way, like for a lot of years, I just abandoned myself because I was listening to the inner critic, thinking that it was my voice and
So
identifying with it.
the inner critic can also be somebody else's voice.
Yes, sometimes it's like something
But
you
if
picked
with
up
healing,
in the...
you are now aware that, okay,
Yeah.
this I can listen to me. We don't listen to ourselves. I mean, like you, I'm also on this journey. It's not like ever ending.
Yeah.
Learning to sit with what you're feeling and asking yourself, okay, is this me talking to me? Or is this somebody else's voice that's tapping into me? So for me, like when you said, how can we empower? Conversations like this, I mean, opening forums where women can talk about what they're going through.
Yeah, the
It's
voices in their
so
head.
helpful, because
Yeah.
sometimes those voices are not yours. They come from maybe mother, grandmother, another
Conditioning,
ancestor,
ancestor, yeah.
anything,
Yeah.
even father. Because see, if father is harsh, then his voice is also there. Like, what are you doing? What are you doing? This is not right. This is not acceptable. And so then that voice becomes yours. So it's really asking yourself, like, say, if you have I'll give you an example of how healing actually happens. Sometimes we have issues. For example, say I don't feel worthy, so I'm pushing myself. I ask myself, like, what would happen if I don't do this?
Same, yeah.
And that voice comes. And that's the critic. If you don't do this, if you don't do this. And then I ask myself, is this my voice or is this somebody else's voice telling me? That is so empowering, because then you're able to let go that if it's not my voice, why, as an adult, why am I listening? As a child, I had to, because I didn't have a choice. I didn't have enough filters to understand as an adult. But as an adult, I can't carry that program of the child to run my life today. So I'm able to say, this is not my voice. I'm a grown-up today. I can make my choice.
Yeah, and that takes that takes awareness. We have to actually say
exactly.
that. We have to say that, because if you actually don't cultivate the awareness, you're not even going to catch the voice. You'll find yourself like
buzzing
at the point where you've already spiraled.
Yeah, you
right?
buzz. Yeah, there's a lot of buzz.
Yeah, it's going to pass you, right? Pass you. And sometimes actually what I've found, like as I've healed, I've found that sometimes it's actually the body is the first point of contact, right? Because there's just a sensation in the body. And if I'm not aware enough of the sensation, then it goes through the mind, and the mind tells the story. And once the story is told, then there's like a larger sensation in the body, right? And so at that point, you're already like spiraling. And that is why like awareness, like when you're aware. So when we talk about like coming back to yourself and building that relationship with yourself, like awareness is one of the things that you have to cultivate in order to catch these things. And in fact, it even takes awareness for you to be able to question the voices that are coming in your head. Because if you're not aware, you're fully identified with the story that you're identified with the critic, you're identified with the part of you that wants to be perfect, you're identified because there's no separation, and awareness
yeah.
creates that separation.
This is the first things. I mean, that is why I felt that hypnotherapy really, really helped me separate myself from the voices that were there in my head. And they were literally like fighting with each other. And so this healing really helps, especially inner child healing, because there's so many parts of us that are wounded, that are unaware, that are struggling and don't know what to do. And it's just not one event. It could be at home, it could be in school, it could be with friends, it could be anything. But the emotions that we've not been able to process, what are stored in our mind and body, like you said, and the body keeps the score. We are going to emit that energy and attract more to us.
Yeah.
Now, the healing helps because we're able to release and resolve what the cause was.
Yeah.
Which means you give yourself that room to make a better choice, create a different belief that will now run the program, that is from our adult space. Then, when we are actually understanding the voices, we are able to separate this is not mine,
Yeah.
or this is mine, but it's trying to tell me something. The most beautiful thing you said, Bamzi, is the body keeps the score, which I know. So for women, and I've done this for myself as well, connecting to a sacral. I don't know if people know about the
chakra system.
chakra system. And these are the energy centers which are absorbing energy. Like, so from when we have thoughts, how we think is what gives us our emotions and our beliefs. The way we think creates our perceptions, creates our judgment, creates our emotions. And when these emotions are negative, they're going to affect our energy system in our body. That is where we create blockages. Now imagine that we've abandoned ourselves to be somebody we are not. That the part of us that is absolutely feminine, divine, and nurturing is our sacral chakra, our reproductive system, where we honor our creativity, we honor our soul, our divine feminine. We're going to block that.
Yeah.
The moment we block that, this is our gut. We are never going to come out of it.
Yeah.
We are going to manifest things that are not us, they are not divinely feminine.
Yeah.
That is complete the height of self-abandonment.
Yeah.
I did that to myself. And today when I connect, I am not feeling guilty.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not feeling unworthy.
Yeah.
I'm more in touch with myself in a way that I listen
To your body and your gut.
to my gut.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the solar plexus is just above our sacral. So both of them are kind of, they're in touch with each other. So one affects the other.
Yeah. My soul is so alive.
Exactly.
Every time
That's the seat of our intuition.
Yeah.
But for the woman, the seat is also the sacral.
Yeah.
And so for me, I mean, we're trying to, I would love to have every woman come and experience this profound feeling of getting in touch with your divine self through your sacral chakra.
Yeah. Yeah.
It would
Great.
be so beautiful to just feel you. And I've done that. How did I get in touch with my divine self, my feminine self? I realized through this healing, again, we say healing, awareness, allowing ourselves to share our innermost selves in a safe space. It's so important. So in one of the meditations that I was going through, I was actually meditating on my sacral chakra. Breathing, like breath work also helps. So just breathing in and out and allowing myself to get in touch. And I came across 5 generations that are sitting in my womb. 5 generations. So imagine the ancestral pattern that I am carrying and what I realized I was carrying from my mom to my grandmom to great-grandmom to the 5th generation is guilt. If I tried to be myself, I used to feel guilty.
Oh, wow. That's lovely. And
So this
yeah,
is what happens. What we are actually carrying is nothing else but our emotional stress and emotions that we haven't processed because they run our life.
yeah,
I'm not me if I'm carrying all this within me.
yeah.
And releasing that guilt helped me really get in touch with myself. Today, I don't feel guilty.
Yeah.
Then, like, even if guilt will come, it's not coming the way it used
It
to.
used to. Because you can see like, oh, this is guilt. Whereas when
Yeah.
you don't have that awareness, you actually you get carried away, right? Like we said, like when you're not able to observe and be like, okay, this is my old, like how my old self used to whatever, and you see it and then you separate yourself from
Absolutely.
it and you just observe it. So actually now I wanted to use some real life examples, right, of like how abandonment can show up, right? Because these examples I think maybe might help somebody identify themselves, like I said. So one example is like somebody who's feeling guilty for prioritizing themselves. So somebody who's like waiting for permission to relax, and I'll just read this. I feel like I'm always waiting for permission to relax, to rest, to buy myself something nice, or do something for myself. It's like I can justify showing up for everyone else, but when it comes to me, I suddenly feel guilty or selfish. And I don't know why it's so hard for me to prioritize myself, which like just speaks to like the guilt that
Exactly
you are
what
carrying.
correct.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I could never prioritize myself. And I've, through my clients and whoever I help, this is so evident with a lot of women who are married, women who are also housewives, okay, and their husbands earn good money, but they feel guilty of prioritizing. Sometimes, like, if I want to go out, like, I want to be myself and I want to go out with my friends, they feel guilty that, but I have to take my husband. Who told us that? That we cannot live without a man. That is already guilt. That I feel guilty of making myself happy.
It's like also almost like you don't have needs. Like,
Yeah.
because when you think of it, it's like you are thinking of other people's needs and prioritizing themselves. It's almost like you don't exist. Like,
We are
literally, like,
looking,
what are you saying by
yeah.
like all of that? It's almost like I'm not here. I'm just here for these roles that I'm playing,
So,
right?
like, remember I said where feminine is nurturing, is compassion, is love, is taking care. But that doesn't flow into adults. Like, we are nurturers, but we are nurturing, and the price we're paying is stopping nurturing ourselves.
Yeah.
Do you know, Bamsi, one of the things that I have seen in my healing practice, the cost of not nurturing yourself? Well, there are other factors that could also play a role. But when I was healing somebody who had breast cancer, one of the things that came is I have never taken care of myself.
Oh, that makes me so sad. Yeah.
I won't say that the cancer is because of that, but one of the factors of emotions that have not been dealt with.
Because that's the only way the body
Yeah.
can sort of like process that load, that emotional load that you haven't, addressed. Like for years, it manifests as, the symptoms, of like a disease. Yeah. Yeah.
So I was not curing the cancer, but I was helping her with the emotions.
With the emotion processing of the
Yeah,
emotions.
that's my job is not cancer
Yeah.
as such, but that's the medical world. But the moment she understood where she abandoned herself, she was, I think, growing in a family where, like, Indians are in joint families. And so they were living two families together with the grandparents. Now, she was only two girls in a family of 6 boys. The girls were never given priority. The girls were never acknowledged. The girls never knew what it means to be themselves, which means she didn't know who she was. She just grew up. She grew up as she was. She became more of a tomboy because seeing the boys and boys getting more priority than the girls, she felt she was anyway not important. Now, for her survival, she had to be like the boys, to be accepted, to be seen, to be acknowledged. She became more of a tomboy. Her dressing, her hairstyle, everything is tomboy. She doesn't wear dresses. Her behavior was more like, that. Because she's seen the boys getting preference. I have to be like this. Again, classic self-abandonment. So allowing her and helping her release those emotional stress and seeing herself in the light that she is helped her actually calm herself down and see herself as who she is. No jokes. A few months later, I'm talking of a while, like I think probably a year or so, she started growing her hair. That was the first sign of her getting in touch with herself, that I can be feminine. I don't have to be somebody I'm not.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the guilt she felt if she did something for herself in terms of feminine. There is like no nail polish, no makeup. So things that are feminine, things that are girly, she had no idea of. And now she is trying to change that slowly, one step at a time.
Yeah.
She had already put on weight also because, see, as for a girl, bigger means stronger, the boys were. So for her, the body weight represented that strength. So helping her, I used to do quite a few sessions, but now recognizing herself as herself, as we healed her inner wounds, it changed something, her identity of herself.
Yeah. So another one is about, we already talked about the inner voices. I have noticed that whenever something goes wrong in my life, I immediately start criticizing myself. If I make a mistake at work, I replay it all day. If somebody is upset with me, I automatically assume I did something wrong. I'm so hard on myself all the time. And honestly, it's exhausting living in my own head, which it goes back to what we talked about earlier.
So
like
whose voice is that,
those
if there
voices.
was?
Yeah. Because like if you go with them, then you're fully abandoning you know.
Completely.
Yeah.
So part of it is not your own voice. Part your inner critic and in your inner judge is born out of another person's voice, because the first voice that you hear is your caretakers. And when they are criticizing, judging, or making you be a perfectionist, or like you're not accepted the way you are, you have to be in a certain way, that voice will follow you.
Yeah, I also think like, yes, it can be your caretakers, but I also think that it can be a part that developed in your younger to protect the inner child. Like in my case, I think like the inner critic, for example, I don't remember picking up criticism from my caretaker, but what I know is that the inner critic was a part of me that wanted me to do these things, like to make me like do better. You know, you need to be better. You need to. It's kind of like managing my behavior in a way.
Correct. That's a survival strategy.
Yeah, like managing my behavior in a way, because if I do that, then we're going to be safe, right?
Correct.
We're going to be accepted. So in a way, it's like it developed when I was younger, when my inner child could not understand what was happening.
Absolutely.
Right? The framework of internal family systems goes into this. The protective parts that developed in your younger child
To keep you safe.
to keep you safe.
Yeah.
And so some of it can be like you picked up, you know, from your caretakers, but some of it can be like the protective parts of you that had to protect your child when at the time you didn't have the capacity to understand what's even happening, and you needed to protect
Survive.
yourself and
Absolutely.
you needed to survive.
But your survival was at a childhood. When
Yeah.
you grow, that voice hadn't silenced or hadn't gone. Because
it doesn't
continued.
know because
Yeah.
it still thinks
Because
that
you need
you're
to
a
survive.
child that
Correct.
needs to be protected.
That's the program that was.
Yes, yeah.
Then for me, my inner critic and my inner voice was my parents. Both of them in some way or the other. Like if I did something, a voice would come. Or if I acted in a I've followed patterns, let's put it that way. And those patterns became the voices in my head. Like if I didn't do something in a certain way, then my mother's voice is
Right.
there.
Yeah. I've had people that say that as
Yeah.
well. Yeah.
So that had become that. And if I did not achieve, then my father's voice is there.
Yeah.
You've not done. You've not done. So that guilt came in. I haven't done anything. So I abandoned myself because of that.
Yeah, you know,
Yeah.
one thing that I find very interesting is like some of the questions that I've gotten with people that I've worked with, like in coaching, is somebody saying that, okay, if I don't feel like that inner critic actually helps me do better and get to certain levels, right? It's kind of fueling them to even go achieve and do all of
Exactly.
these things, right? Which then, like, my answer is actually that is their job. They want you to do all of these things in order, because the ultimate goal is always for the love, safety, and acceptance of the inner child, right? So my answer is always like, yeah, that is the job of the inner critic, the perfectionist, the whatever. That is their job. And so, like, once you understand that that is the job that you needed to do, then you can step forward as the adult, right? And tell them like, oh, actually we're not unsafe. Like, the inner child is not safe. So you can step in as the adult and be like, I got it covered. But you have to have that,
Absolutely.
awareness, because people always think like, if I don't listen to this, then I'm going to not achieve things that I want to achieve. I'm not going to get where I want to get. And that's where they get, caught up, because then it means like, okay, then I'm not going to have all of these things that I want because
The fear sets in. There's so much conditioning behind who we become. And so to be layers, layers, and layers to get to our authentic self, it's not a difficult job. It's a possible and doable job. But when we peel those layers of the children in us, when we allow the adult in us to make the children safe, then their programs of emotional stress, fear, helplessness, guilt, anger, all this subsides.
And
Means
when you say children, you mean your inner child.
inner
No,
children,
inner
not
children.
the children outside
Yeah.
of us.
Yeah.
But the inner children who are wounded, who are scared, who don't know what else to do. When we allow them to see the world from our eyes, heal them, then the control of them in our mind and body is not there. Our body will relax because our body is the station for our feelings. So self-abandonment shows up in every area of your life. When you're not authentically in touch with yourself and you have already gotten coping strategies to wear masks to cope with life in order to feel worthy or accepted or anything, the effects are far-reaching.
Yeah. So in other words, what you're saying, like, if you're finding yourself identifying with the perfectionist voice, the critic voice, like whatever voice is in your head, if you examine your life and you're finding yourself like you're fully believing and then going with what it's saying, that is an example of self-abandonment. So I'm going to use one other example, and that, like, one other example that maybe somebody can maybe identify themselves is the exhaustions that you feel from not being true to who you are, which a lot of people can. I feel like a lot of us, I feel like people pleasing is a spectrum, and we're all on the spectrum. I feel like if you're a human, you have to people please in some ways, but it's like a matter of like how much do you like people please. So in this example, I have noticed that I say yes to things that I actually don't want to do. Then later I feel annoyed about it. For example, I'll agree to help somebody to go somewhere or to take an extra responsibility even when I'm already overwhelmed. In the moment, I don't want to disappoint anybody, but afterward I feel angry and drained. And so I'm thinking the anger is a communication that you did something that was not true to yourself. You abandoned yourself. So the anger is like
Because
information
I'm
about
doing so much, which I don't need to.
yeah.
But why am I doing it? Because I want to feel accepted or worthy. Because people pleasing comes from I want to be accepted, or I need to feel that value and worth within me. That when I'm pleasing you, what do I want from you? I want that acceptance. I want you to see me.
I want you to see me.
Yeah.
Oh, that's, really
And
sad.
then now I'll go bend backwards for somebody. And then when somebody doesn't return the same or they take us for granted, then we feel very angry.
Yeah.
That I did so much. Why didn't you respond? Or
That example. I've had it from
Yeah.
so many people who like it could be at work where it's like I'm doing all of these things in order for me to be recognized, acknowledged. I'm just going out of my way to do all of these things, and then at the end of the day, you resent the person who you're doing it for not
Absolutely.
recognizing you're doing.
because you don't have your boundary.
Right. You don't have your boundary. You don't realize that by you doing something that most of the time you don't want to do it.
And
Like
why
you
don't
truly,
we,
like if you examine yourself, like this is not something I want to do.
And why can't we say no? Because if we say no, then that's where the guilt will say. Guilt will come in. I feel so guilty for saying no. Means I've hurt somebody else.
I'm a
But
bad
it's-
person for
I'm
saying no.
Exactly. Now, those are the other voices who made us feel that way, or who told us that it's not acceptable if you don't do this or don't do that.
Yeah.
So as children, like your inner voice was your own survival. But a lot of children who are growing up in families, whose voices are they? The parents.
Yeah.
If you don't do this, then you're not acceptable. We're so conditional,
Yeah.
not unconditional. So, so these are the things that keep happening. And then we get very frustrated.
Yeah.
Then where does that frustration go?
And then so it's funny because it's like when you feel the anger, even though the anger is a communication of like, yeah, this is an injustice because, you didn't honor yourself. So that's why you're angry, because you abandoned yourself, right? And so instead of taking the anger as information, you then
React.
or maybe sometimes like you can feel bad for being angry, or you can feel shame. It's like, why am I feel angry? I'm a bad person for feeling angry about that situation.
And then imagine now you will compensate for that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So this is how we abandon ourselves.
Over
Instead
and
of having
over.
a boundary to say, I'm allowed to say no, because that is my sense of care for myself.
Yeah.
We don't do that. And especially women, we are very used to doing that to ourselves. We've been conditioned that we put ourselves last. When we are carers and nurturers, we think we put ourselves last, but our needs are there too. So we must have time for ourselves beyond our families, beyond whatever we do, beyond the tasks, beyond the responsibilities. We still have our needs. How many women feel guilty for taking time out to even say, go for a spa or massage or taking care? It doesn't have to be too big. It could be just a drink with a friend. You think, oh, my children will think I'm not there. Oh, if my husband comes in and I'm not there, I've not fed him. But it's not only our responsibility.
Yeah.
Where we are today in this day and age, where we are doing everything equally, then equal responsibility also has to be divided, which is not. It's very imbalanced.
Because I also think that in a way, by abandoning yourself and doing all of those things, feeling like you have to carry the weight, you also don't allow the other people to be in their own power, right?
Because we don't know how to be in our own
because if you
power.
don't know how to be in your own power, we're not going to allow other people to stand in their own power as well. So it's like you're depriving them of that,
And we're depriving ourselves of that possibility that we don't have to do everything. We can have an agreement. Or we can have a division. That this is yours or this is mine. We do it collectively or individually, whatever, then agreement, like an understanding. We don't do that, but we more or less internalize everything.
Okay, great. So as we come close to the end of this conversation, so I wanted, because we're coming close, I wanted us to just talk through some of the ways that, reconnecting, like when you reconnect to yourself and you're rooted in that relationship with yourself, because the relationship you have with yourself is the most important relationship you would ever have. When you have that rooting, you understand your own boundaries, you understand what feels right, and your body tells you that, as you were saying earlier, it's first of all, it's the body, like the sacral sometimes, or the gut. When you're connected, you will feel it. Or sometimes your energy, if you listen to your energy as well, you're feeling depleted. That is information. So when you're rooted in yourself, you have that solid relationship with yourself. That is the way that, you can know when you're abandoning yourself, right? So what are some of the ways that people can start rooting in themselves and coming back to themselves? If we can go over, because we don't have much time, but if we can go over those.
First things first,
Yeah.
therapy, obviously.
Right. Yes. Yep.
But awareness is also very important, and asking ourselves, if I'm feeling this, where am I abandoning myself?
Absolutely.
Awareness is very important.
Being curious, I feel like that curiosity,
Absolutely.
being curious about like what is
Yeah.
actually happening.
Yeah, exactly. Asking ourselves what we're organizing as sort of a gathering or, like an interaction where we want you all to come as women, share your experiences so that we can also share what we can offer. And things like self-care techniques, meditation, or things that would really resonate with you to get in touch with you. Because when we start getting in touch, we will realize where we are abandoning ourselves. Because getting in touch with your innate self, it speaks to you. There is no way out. It speaks. Meditation is one of a very good way. When I say hypnosis, I would put it at the beginning of the tier, and then I will talk meditation. But there are many ways. First and foremost is that thought. I want to take care of myself. I want to know me. I want to know where I am in my life. If something is not going right, if something is giving you emotional stress, that's already a marker. That's a red flag.
Yes.
Turn from there. What can I do for myself? Do I want to carry on like this, or do I want to do something different?
Yeah.
That awareness is so important.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
That will make you turn in a way there. Find a way to figure out what it is.
Absolutely. I
Yeah.
love that. So
So-
being curious about the voices in your head,
Yeah.
being curious about your emotions and not shaming them.
Yeah.
Because, if you're not approaching your emotions from curiosity, you're just like, I shouldn't be
repress
feeling
them.
this way. I shouldn't be feeling
Yeah.
this way. Because in fact, I went for like a really long time. Whenever an emotion would come up, I would be like, I shouldn't be feeling this way. And that's how a lot of people
That's
operate.
already abandonment.
When you say that I shouldn't feel this way, you're not going to pay attention to what that emotion is trying to communicate to you, right? So if you approach it from curiosity and ask yourself, like, what is this emotion trying to tell me? That is like a way that you can then start to, because that's reconnecting. That's like direct reconnecting, because you've literally taken time to be curious about your internal
That
state.
already is focus on you.
Yeah.
So self-connection comes from really reconnecting, means asking ourselves, what makes me happy? We never ask. We think everybody else's happiness is our happiness. That's not authentic happiness.
Yeah.
So really, what makes me happy? Even if it means making other people happy, fine, but does that give you genuine, authentic joy? Or am I trying to make others happy so that I feel happy or I feel safe? No. So really, what gives me genuine happiness? And it will always take you back to your own connection to
Yeah.
yourself.
Yeah.
So that's one of the ways to ask. So the first thing is, honestly, if we sit with ourselves, that's the first reconnection
that is
to
a big
ourselves.
one, and that is a big
Yeah.
one that a lot of people struggle with. It's like, how can I sit without doing anything? Because often that sitting with the self, people try to find something like, I should go do laundry, I should go do the
Because
dishes.
something makes us feel guilty that I can't be idle. We're not being idle. We're trying to be in touch with ourselves.
Or it could also be like you don't want your own thoughts. You don't want to sit
Yeah.
with your own thoughts and hear like what's going on in that head, which it's actually taking you away
We
from
run
that
away.
connection. Because
Yeah.
you need to hear what stories your mind is telling. You need to actually hear those thoughts so that you can start questioning them. Because if you don't hear them, you distract yourself, you go and do like all of these things, you're never going to know like what stories your mind are telling you. You're not going to know like what the illusions that you have about yourself.
And
And yeah.
we women are emotional, so which means crying is emotional. And when we're trying to be strong, we will never want to. So we stop our tears coming. How would it feel to just sit with ourselves and cry? That is already coming in touch with what we are feeling. We don't want to do that. It's scary to feel. So one of the ways to connect to the self is have a good cry if you need to. Why not?
Yeah. And I feel like I have people that say it's easier for them to get angry than cry,
cry.
right? So if anger is like your first thing that comes to you naturally, that's also like information
It
about,
is.
like, be curious about your anger. Yeah.
So one thing I would also like is come and at least share your experiences where
Yeah.
you are, and we can help you there. Like,
Yes. Yes.
this is what we're wanting to do, is create a gathering, or just a, a group,
A
a
community
community
of empowered women.
where we can
Yeah.
help each other.
Yes.
All of us are in the same boat, but we are in maybe different stages.
Yes.
So we can all help each other and come together, share our stories, and find ways that we can connect to ourselves and
Yeah.
feel more happier and more authentic within ourselves. That's so important.
Yes, absolutely. So,
Yeah.
so what, in other words, the empowerment, our empowerment, the way that we're reframing empowerment is that we want to empower you to root, to have that deep relationship with yourself, to root within your own, you root yourself in your own internal world, because that is so important. That would really, really determine how you move through the world. And so our empowerment is not like, be strong, go out there and whatever. Our empowerment is like, do you understand yourself? Do you understand the stories in your head? Do you understand what's going on in your internal world? Do you hold space for your emotions and whatever? Because that is so important.
And feel safe to share. That's
Yeah.
what we want to create, that safety where you can be allowed to be you without all these outer layers that are taking up our space. So just allowing yourself to feel authentically what you feel, what you're going through, and we'll help each other there.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
so I wanted to also say that there's nothing wrong with you. However you've been feeling, even if like you've been, having outbursts like anger, you've been just withdrawing and you're sad, or like however you've been reacting, there's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with you. All of this or whatever you're experiencing is just information, and you don't need to be fixed. You just need to build a better relationship with like whatever is showing up in your own reality. Yeah.
And you know how we think of certain words like abandonment? Like we think, okay, this is a big word. It's not a flaw, it's a survival strategy where a child had to survive somewhere and it became that program. So it's not a flaw, it's a survival strategy
Right.
of a part of you that needed that
Yeah.
at that time.
Yeah.
So not thinking of it as we've really done something wrong,
Yeah.
but it is part of life.
Absolutely. So
Yeah.
in this event that we are having on the 20th, we're having this event on the 20th of this month. It's an event that is going to bring a lot of women. If you're listening to this conversation and it resonated with you, some of the things that we talked about, we want to create a space where like you can voice like what's happening. You can talk about those inner voices. You can feel validated, because the way that we are approaching this is from, like I said, from a place of like, there's nothing wrong with you, right? We just want to cultivate that space for you to understand that, oh, there's no need for me to shame myself. There's no need for me to be like to shame your experiences. It's for you to understand that then how can I be curious about the experiences that I'm having, and then be able to cultivate a better relationship with myself and my internal world. And so, yeah, we want to have you come to our event on the 20th of June.
And we're looking forward to all of you coming in big groups and sharing, learning, growing, and experiencing an amazing technique or a process where you will feel in touch with yourself.
Absolutely.
That will be my gift to you all.
Yeah, and if you're listening to this and you have a friend that you can share this with who might be interested, definitely share this with somebody. We are going to, of course, put information, like additional information on our socials about like the venue and other details as well. And just look out, starting mid this week, you'll start to see like the additional information about this event. We are so excited because we want to create a movement of women who are empowered from within
And authentic, like
Yes.
feel happy, be women, and live like that rather than the conditioning that we all are bought into. So thank
we
you
want
so
you to
much.
enjoy your human experience.
Absolutely.
Yeah, thank you so much for being with us today. Thank you so much, Kinneri, for coming to the studio. This has been so lovely, and it's been long coming, you know. I don't know, for some reason, I always felt like it was going to end up, you know, to a place like this. And
I think so.
yeah, I'm so excited. And if you've been listening to this or if you've been watching this, we would love to hear from you. And also, please subscribe and rate our podcast. It does really help our community grow. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you so much for listening. And we will see
thank
you
you.
next time on That of Being.
Yes, and I'm looking forward to seeing you all.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
I hope today's conversation resonated with you, brought you a sense of clarity, and maybe even challenged you to reflect further on your healing and spiritual journey. If it resonated with you, I would love to hear from you. If you are watching on YouTube, like this episode, subscribe, and share your feedback and reflections. If you are listening on Apple or Spotify, rate this podcast and leave a review. Your feedback means so much to me. And it also helps the podcast grow and reach more people who may need these conversations. You can also find our socials and email in the episode description. I always love hearing from you. Until next time, take gentle care of your soul, mind, and body.